Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Commentary's Magic Stream on today, Sunday, April 8th, 2018. I am, as always, Grandpaws.
I'm Emperor Bugle.
Big cheese.
And 3 resource removal is mandatory.
And 45 card maximum deck. Hi, Aura.
Hi.
Has everybody recovered from the fun and madness that was BABSCon 2018?
No.
Yes. I think none of us got sick.
None of us got sick, but I'm certainly suffering from sleep deprivation.
Suffering or just kind of coasting along with it as the norm?
Suffering.
Well, the good news is that's easy to recover from. And you'll have plenty of time, because we don't have to do this again for another month.
I'm not doing it till BABSCon. I mean,
Oh, we're
not
gonna
BABSCon, BronyCon. That one.
we're gonna force you into the commentator's role. You're gonna be up earlier than the rest of us.
That's not how that works, but sure.
It's not how that works.
That's how time zones work.
Not his time zone. Anyway, it was a great time at the con. A huge thank you to everyone who came out and played in the events or learned to play. We had a ton of learn to play players. We do have a couple people to thank individually. First off, to our commentators, Cursed Chords and Hithrock. We couldn't have done this without you. You guys were instrumental in providing entertainment value to people who are watching from home, and your insights were very, very valuable. So thank you so much for your work. Second, to Richard. Richard ran our Learn to Play table over the course of the convention and was able to get a pretty significant volume of people in there, and also showed up with, I believe, close to 70 pre-built intro decks.
70?
70.
Yeah.
So
7-0.
People who walked in for Learn to Play did not leave empty-handed. Like, they got packs as per usual, but Richard is just like, you know what? How about you have a deck? And then
And
they
so
had
that
decks.
that was awesome. I think he left with closer to 30, so that's over 40 people that were introduced to the game at BABSCon,
No, that's insane.
which was pretty good.
Which was pretty good.
We had some of those people play in Villain Challenge too.
Yes, we did. We'd also like to give a big thank you, of course, to Enterplay for helping to provide some awesome promos for the convention, many of which had never been seen before, and some of which had in very specific tournaments. But we'll get to that in a moment.
Or on Twitter and then never released. We're looking at you, Captain Was.
Yeah, teehee.
Oh, Richard says he only took 24 home, so he gave out closer to 50. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
46? Yeah.
Yeah, Babs was an absolutely spectacular time. We were glad to have everybody there, and it's far from the only convention that we're going to be at here in the next few months. But for the time being, we'd like to take today to reflect back on what we learned.
Smiles!
Smiles, yay!
Oh,
What
come
does-
on.
What
Pink-
does
Pink Purple is king at BABSCon?
Pink Purple was king at BabsCon?
Yeah.
Queen.
Princess.
Princess, sure. What does
No.
the bug pony mean?
Evil. Queen. Total evil.
Anyway, BabsCon had a number of different formats, and we will talk about the two constructed formats here in a bit. But before we get there, let's share some fun memories from some of the other, not really side events, but con-specific events that we ran.
I don't know what you're on about with those being side events. Those are the main event.
I am well aware, and they will be the main event at Everfree as well. Starting with draft. Ara, you had a fun comment. Yeah.
I did have a fun comment.
You had a fun comment about forgetting just how enjoyable draft was.
Yes, Seattle used to run drafts fairly regularly, so it's been a long time since we've done that. And I've kind of missed how stupid and fun draft can be. especially with some of the Sequestria cards. Derpy.
Oh, for sure. We're actually in a spectacular place right now for limited environment or for a limited format because you have Sequestria along with Defenders of Equestria, which means all colors are equally balanced against each other.
More or
And
less.
you get some decent options for color entry in infiltrating the hive. And you don't have to deal with someone just randomly getting Scootaloo and then just stomping the competition.
That's also true. But to be fair, I don't think we've really been allowing poor Scoots since we figured out she was kind of OP and broken.
True. At least in limited. Anyway, Ara, you had a fun little thing going on in draft. Tell us about it.
5 letters, 1 word. Poppy.
You played Sea Poppy.
I played Sea Poppy. Not only did I play Sea Poppy, but I got at least 3 points off of her.
Isn't
In
that
how
enough
many
to
games?
3.
win the contest? Oh, right, no, it wasn't a single game.
No,
Well, no. Well, how many games did she actually score you points
2.
in? Okay.
I got 2 of the points off of 1 game.
And
So
how many of those were confronting with her?
I'm not even counting that. You know what I mean. She is okay. So everything else being said, yes, Poppy is a fairly good body. Just 3 action tokens for 4 power. But when you get a pair of Derpies and a Devil Babby, I'm sorry, you just have to take that and run with it. It's too good not to.
You know what else is really good to run in draft? Unlimited discard fuel for Apple Bloom with Follow My Lead.
That was really funny. Okay,
This is almost a thing I want to do in Constructed, except I already know those colors don't work well in Core.
yeah. So you have what is that? Apple Bloom Fastest, I think it is.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you activate her ability to exhaust her and discard a card to move her, which you discard Follow My Lead. And then you're like, oh look, something moved, and then you pull Follow My Lead back into your hand.
Yeah, that's my favorite follow my lead combo.
It seems good. Free movement in limited. Seems good.
Or free power if she's already. I mean, you have to move something later to get it back, but still.
Like you're never going to move something later in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I perish the thought of never moving anything in draft. It's like someone's doing something that's not aggro.
Control can work, and it can work.
Like using Poppy as a
I-
combo engine.
I remember playing in draft, but I don't remember what I ran. Did I run in draft?
I
No, you
don't
probably-
remember.
Maybe that was Team Sealed that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I think you're thinking
Yeah.
of Team Sealed.
Yeah, no, I didn't run in draft. Okay.
I say this with full authority as I was totally there on Friday.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Speaking of Team Sealed, since you 3 had the chance to participate in that, Meme Sealed.
We tried to run a farming deck because we thought we had 2 epics when we actually only had 1.
Actually only had one.
As
epic.
Chrissy,
We-
we did go undefeated, but
Well,
Our
undefeated
pool-
star.
our
As a
pool,
team, we went on.
Yeah, our pool was actually not that great, but it ended up
Uh,
working.
Aura went undefeated.
with a weird purple yellow control deck.
Without
Yeah.
Zippo, even.
Now, I know there were some people that were attempting to run Zippo, and I think there was even a deck that just forced Luna, the ultra rare from Sequestria.
Yeah,
Good
I
card.
went up against that.
Oh, yeah.
That was really annoying.
Yeah, it was funny. I looked over and saw Aura was up against shiny cards. Well, not actually shiny, but still. And he just had a bunch of commons and uncommons. It's like, yeah, this is working.
I'm looking over at Bugle going, Bugle, I have a problem. What, Luna? And he looks
Yeah,
and it's
but
like,
at that point, you were at like 10
Yeah.
to 1.
I had the game on lockdown for a good chunk of it. It turns out that Applejack really doesn't like getting shoved home every time she tries to do anything.
Spike.
Yeah. Spike.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, you even moved Spike twice through Lunatax.
It was necessary.
He needed everything home, I know.
Well, Draft and Team Sealed will both be returning at Everfree 2018 up in Seattle, along with the return of a format that we have not held events for in a significant number of years, to the best of my memory, and that's Chaos is Magic. Not the monthly Chaos rules, a Chaos is Magic event. Where
Did
you
Gen
don't
Con have
know-
that last year?
I can't remember if
Yes,
Gen
Gen
Con
Con
had it last
definitely
year.
had it last year. I remember because I remember Adam specifically saying, so we started this before the finals started and ended almost immediately afterwards. So
Yeah. So
long
Chaos
finals were long.
Chaos is going to be a lot of fun. So if you like limited events, you'll definitely want to check that out. If you can't make it in person, don't worry. Just like at BABSCon, we'll be streaming everything. That's going to be May 18th through the 20th.
Ooh, how are we going to communicate the Chaos rules over stream? I don't know that that's going to work very well. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You'll be able to hear it.
In the meantime, though, BABSCon also gave us one of our first looks at a Harmony tournament since the release of Sequestria. There have obviously been a lot of players that have been, experimenting in Harmony and seeing what they can do. But I can't recall having a major organized event for this. If there was one, I apologize. We'd love to see your local results from that as well. And we had a tie, actually.
Well, we had more than one tie. We had, two or three matches during Swiss that all tied with each other, and it's just like, you'd report this, and I'd look over and I'd just be like, really? Do you just hate each other that much?
From what I hear, one person was involved in 2 ties.
Yes, indeed. Shout out to Jeffrey.
Ouch.
With that, let's take a look at the 3 decks in Harmony that went 3-1. Starting with the one with the best tiebreakers, and also incomplete deck list. There are 2 cards missing on it.
DQ'd.
This was Shadow's list.
What we have here is a orange-pink, of all things, farming and playing hard deck?
Yes.
We're going to talk about that here in a bit.
Actually, let's slow down and look at this, because this is actually a core legal deck, if I'm reading this correctly.
This is core legal.
Yes, he ran his core deck in this tournament. He was not the only one to do so. In fact, you'll see that 2 out of the top 3 decks in Harmony were actually completely core legal.
See, I would have ran some bell towers.
Bell Tower would have been a nice inclusion, sure.
Yeah. That would have been fair, yep.
Yeah, we or orange pink farm. Well, pink, because it basically just ran bell tower. It is an old staple, actually. This is definitely a different take on
like
it.
Gen Con 20, well, if you want to call it farm, but yeah, Gen Con 2014.
No, what's especially interesting here is this is actually very light on epics for a farming deck. It only has 5.
Yes.
So clearly, Shadow is trying his best to also get some confronts in with AJ, which is likely not too difficult because every problem in his deck can be confronted by AJ by herself, assuming she's big enough.
Yeah. He definitely needs points from problems because that's only 11 from epics.
Assuming he gets
Or
all
not
of them even.
11. Sorry, 10. I can math.
Yes. But to be fair, he does have a stick in there.
He does have a stick.
And there's a number of things that would protect his friends. And yeah, I don't think he's going to have too many problems because he's got some decent control elements in here as well as some decent farming elements and almost some decent aggro elements. Not that AJ herself doesn't count as that on her own.
Yeah, Rescue Party is a huge value card. And is capable of confronting AJ's worst nightmare entirely on her own, under lock and tree entirely on her own. Move a couple counters onto her, and she can easily confront the others while AJ sits at the other problem.
Yeah, also lets him actually farm 2 Trixies at the same time. Or Glimmer, or whatever. Two villains at the same time, I should say.
Yeah, AJ and Rescue Party alone, if you don't have a hard removal option, will... Well, they'll catch you.
That's a lot of power to be moving around for 2 AT. And it can't be scared, and it flips more cards, so it's just like, hi.
Also, hi, Raylas. It was good to see you at the con.
You'd say belly flop bait, but there's 2 copies of Appaloosa.
Yes.
Just
and
for a
3
little
dozen
extra
rows.
redundancy. Yep.
So you can't just necessarily take it.
Yep,
Yeah.
we'll see that Shadow actually refined this list somewhat going into the Harmony or going into the core tournament, but still, it was not the last time we'll see orange pink on this stream.
Yeah, and I will note that this, of course, because it's running the colors, runs plan hard, because why not?
Resource removal mandatory. It's got 3 Big Macs.
All right. Also notable, this deck is a little bit incomplete.
Yeah. As we noted, missing 2 cards.
Yes, it is missing 2 cards.
Shall we take a look at the next thing?
Sure, go for it.
Sure.
All right, up next we have Tempest Orange White Control-ish?
F-stop.
What do you mean control-ish?
No,
I
what
see
you
no
have,
cards in this deck that would be considered control.
What
None.
you have is F-stop. That's the only card that matters.
Oh, you mean it's a combo deck, right? Because it's got F-stop and Gyro and Photo Finish and Spoons and...
Combo generally doesn't run F-stop.
I beg to defer.
Yeah, I was about to say. But, okay, so yeah, this is Grandpa's Tempest Toolbox Control deck.
Because Toolbox is mandatory.
Because F-stop is mandatory.
I mean, there's really not a lot to say here that hasn't been said 1,000 times already. F-stop is an incredibly good card in Harmony. You run a little bit of variety in your events, a couple ways to bring them out with Gyro, and then you just try to outvalue your opponent over and over again. There's a couple tricks in here that you can do that are a little clever, like frightening either Luna or Plaid Stripes with Luna in order to play your 1 copy of Chrysalis as a copy of that unique friend. Well, copying its abilities, rather, and then unfrighten it. Turns out having a Changeling Mimics in play and also having 2 Plaid Stripes in play is kind of gross.
Yeah.
Would you like to pay 6 for that belly flop?
I think I kind of let some demons out of the box, so don't copy that Poppy. Oops.
I mean, it's an old trick.
It is, but no one's actually used it to any effect before.
No, I disagree. There have been Gen Con lists, specifically to hose on combo, trying to do this. Get to Nightmare Moon Deep Darknesses.
That being
That's
said, the idea
terrifying.
for this actually came from a Discord conversation. I can't remember specifically who it was, but that's where that first came about. Otherwise, maintain your AT generation, and the main win condition here is actually the I'm the friend you need. Just mill your opponent out entirely. When you can bring that back multiple times in a turn and play it with F-stop, your opponent's deck kind of goes very, very
5
quickly.
cards is a lot of cards.
It's a full 11% of your deck.
The 1 copy of Glimmer there is kind of scary when you're playing Toolbox Control, though. Because you might, obviously it's to counter other Toolbox Control, but you might hit your toolboxes.
I'm not that worried about it, because of the toolbox pieces I have that I'm only running a singleton copy of, it's Destiny Drain, Magical Misfire, Luna's Future, and Cracking the Case. I'm not going to play it against a troublemaker farming deck, so I don't care about losing cracking the case. I've got other resource removal in Big Mac if I have to, and a couple ways to bring him back with redeeming qualities. And if I hit Magical Misfire, that's unfortunate, but at least I still have Destiny Drain.
Right. Yeah.
Also, this is a very friend-heavy deck.
It is. It is.
And a very troublemaker-heavy deck as well. I'm trying to remember the total count, but I think it was something like 25 cards in the deck were either friends or troublemakers. It may have been higher. So, as a one-of, I was okay with it. That being said, I think the other way that you can build toolbox control in Harmony is using DJ and running Pink, or using Tempest and running Pink in place of Orange.
Yeah. Though speaking of vinyl, that is why the one copy of Double Diamond is in there, in case anyone was wondering.
And it did work. Turns out getting Double Diamond turn 1 against a Burb deck that has not fully translated into Harmony kind of locks them out.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's take a look at the next list.
All right, then. Last up, we have Scootaloo Yellow Aggro.
This is also a core deck.
Also a core deck, yes. And yeah, those last two decks were kind of heavy, so let's talk about something that's actually fun. Implying that locking your opponent out isn't fun for you.
Fun as a zero-sum.
Would you like to count the number of cards that have the word move on them somewhere?
Yes, I would. Let's see.
More than one?
No, there's this third one right here, this one that looks like Lyra. I'm pretty sure that doesn't say move on it.
Yeah, that does not say move.
I don't know. In this deck, it might actually say move, because there's a lot of friends in here.
There are.
There are 14 different cards that say move on them, and one of them that says Swift that does not have the full description. I'm sorry.
Is that
15.
counting the main and the problems?
15 counting the main, not counting any of the problems. And that's not counting duplicates of those cards.
Right, yeah. There's some movement shenanigans going on here.
It's
in blue and yellow? Nah.
It's like they don't want to sit still or something.
Shoeshine.
Shoeshine. Also Shoeshine.
I would imagine if someone built a deck while like hooked up to an IV of pure caffeine, this is pretty close to what they'd come out with. Because this deck does not slow down. It hears the word slow and like has to rush back to the dictionary to see what it means.
Although that only takes like a second or so for it to find the definition.
Implying this deck wants to read the dictionary.
Yeah,
reads fast.
That's for eggheads.
Books are for eggheads, that's right. There's no eggheads in here.
There's another thing this deck is excellent at doing, and that is getting around troublemakers.
Yes.
It's got a copy of True Friend. It's got 3 copies of Friends Are Always There. It's got 3 Dilemmas. It's got 3 Fluttershy Pony Pirates. A bunch of immediate speed movement.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's got a Grubber in his mullet in his plush. Yeah,
yes. No. Grubber?
Whatever.
I really would need someone to make that Rainbow Dash plush.
I mean,
you can counting both Swift Friends, by the way? Because there are actually 2. Okay.
There are multiple Swift Friends.
I don't know what you're on about needing that plush. Let's just go buy it from KLP. That's basically what he makes.
This is another list that we'll actually see refined slightly going into the next day. It looked like Harmony being run on day 1 was actually a good opportunity for people who weren't quite sure if their core deck was in its final stage to get a little bit of last-minute testing in and make some revisions based on what they saw.
And we also had the practice core tournament.
Yeah.
That's true. We did also have practice core tournament, so a lot of people got some good practice.
I don't actually remember who won that, but
I don't remember either.
Do we know approximately how many people were running actual, or were running non-core legal Harmony decks in the Harmony tournament?
No, we didn't actually officially collect deck lists, or we didn't require deck lists for Harmony.
Fair enough.
I think it might have leaned with the majority actually being core lists. Go ahead, Aura.
Erlenmeyer. Beaker hearts. Grumble, grumble, grumble.
That was truly an amazing plush.
I like the sick he has there.
For those of you who didn't get the chance to ever see it on stream, someone was wandering around with a Lemon Hearts plush with her head wrapped in clear plastic in the shape of an Erlenmeyer flask.
Beaker.
It was Beaker Hearts.
It's Erlenmeyer.
Oh wow, you're siding with both of us. Oh wow.
That's it.
I play the field, man.
Oh.
That's it. Traitor to the hive. Traitor to the hive. 1,000 years. No trials.
Well, speaking of people getting practice for core, let's talk about the core tournament here. Or more specifically, let's talk about the 8 deck lists that managed to make it to the top 8 single elimination rounds on Sunday. Congratulations to all the players who participated.
And ascending order of top 8 placement.
Sure.
Let's look at number 8 here. So this is Sonnet Scrolls Skystar Orange.
Hey, look, main 6.
White.
Hey, look, party hard.
There is a little bit of white. Because, of course, it's running bodyguards.
Because of course it is.
Just bodyguard. He's only one.
No, it's 3 bodyguards.
3 bodyguards. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you don't say running Big Max.
Yes, you do. If there are multiple big bangs. Anyway.
I don't know. We need to sit here and split hairs more over the...
So this is kind of an interesting list because it could lean either way towards aggro or control, and the indicator as to what this deck's playstyle is going to be is in its problem deck, actually.
Yeah.
The large numbers on the problems suggest that it wants to go more control for obvious reasons, because an aggro deck is going to sit here and look at that and just be like, man, that's too hard to confront. I don't want none of that.
Yeah, this deck relies heavily on an old friend final breakdown. Because there's a lot of things in here that exhaust the opponent stuff, including that grubber who just constantly does it. And then that makes stuff go away, and it's nice.
It does make stuff go away.
Getting both those out can be pretty terrifying.
You know what else it makes go away? Factory
Paper
Jack.
Twilights? No, Factory Jacks are harder to hit.
Because they just exhausted on your turn.
Yeah.
But
well, no, after main phase.
yeah, they have to be careful with that though, because you'll catch them once or twice, and then they'll be like,
you might catch them, yeah. But if you know, then you just go, nah, I'll wait.
They catch Lunas. They catch, amusingly enough, other breakdowns.
They catch themselves too, unfortunately. Since it does not say opposing, Berry Punch and Orange Swirl like to coerce Breakdown into leaving the party.
Mm.
Yeah, good tip is if you're going to be playing Breakdown and your opponent is running pink, it's probably best not to drop a Breakdown if you're not going to use her in that same turn.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you may end up wasting 2 AT in a card. Otherwise, it's pretty apparent what this deck is trying to do. It's got a lot of removal here, a significant amount of removal, with the combination of the exhaust and breakdown, as well as the typical things of belly flop. And then it's got main 6 party hard, because of course it does.
Yep.
Because of course.
It's got the 2 desert roads as well, which is slightly hard to hit in this deck, but not impossible.
Yeah, there's enough orange multicolor here to where it's okay.
Exactly.
I don't think that's
just slightly hard. You can't play it off of just your main.
No, but to be fair, this is going to have something else orange out. There's too many things that this.
Well, you say that, but this is the party hard meta.
That's true. Although I'd make an argument that if you just got hit with that, then But
you're probably
you have
playing
different
Desert
problems.
Road is probably not your highest priority. Yeah,
No.
that's fair.
Well, it was your highest priority last turn, and you
Yes.
only now realize that.
Well, no,
Oops.
you top decked it.
Yeah, the other thing to look at here is even without main 6, there are 3 party hards in this list, and there's not a ton of token generation, but the token generation that is here is very efficient.
Yes.
Back up-
there's a lot of tokens.
There's only 6 cards in the deck that actually generate tokens, not counting the problem deck.
A lot of tokens.
Sure, and then you get Bodyguard sitting there just mass manufacturing unicorn tokens.
Right.
Yeah. Sonnet was actually using the Quinceañera quite effectively against me. She made two different tokens off of that, and then party hearted me, and I'm like, well, that was not fun.
Yep. So if you can find a way to get the bodies to fuel party hard, you can still get some good value with this, even if you're not using it in conjunction with main 6.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we look at the next list?
Yes.
Back to farming.
Also, just want to point out 2 blackmails, good control deck.
That's fair. Okay, Richard's farming deck. I think this is identical to the one that he's been using in Coco. And
It is.
I'm going to be honest here. This is very simple, but it's very brutal. It's very efficient. It wins.
Well, it does in Coco. And admittedly, there was a lot of farming to go up against in this meta as well.
Mm-hmm.
But he did do well to make it to top 8, and the deck continues to perform quite well. AT generation from Factory Jacks, resource removal in Big Macs, a couple tricks in Frozen Magicite and Bailouts, and a large suite of epics to be able to farm.
And Barrel Through. Barrel Through is very important too.
It is, but I'm including that in every farm deck, not just orange-purple.
Well, I mean, Bailouts in every orange deck.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, I like the simplicity of this deck. It's just 15 cards, 3 copies of each. This deck knows exactly what it wants to do.
It wants to farm.
I'm mildly surprised that there's no rescue party, but I mean, it works the way it is.
Yeah, you could make an argument that the Buckball team could be swapped out for something else. I'm not a particularly big fan of that card, so if I were to build a copy of this, I might change that.
Because Buckball team flips for 6 if your main is involved.
But if your opponent's challenging, it's only flipping for 3.
Right.
And you're already at a lower flip average than other variants on orange farming because all of your other friends are 2-drops.
Right.
But regardless, this is still a pretty solid list.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm not saying I'm not trying to trash on the deck or anything. Just if there was room for a rescue party, I would like to see it.
Yep. The problem deck can be a little difficult to confront unless there's a motivational speech in play, but there are 3 of those, so that can be nice.
Yes. Oh, that is the one risky thing about this deck. That is the only entry outside of the 2 trading traditions.
Yep.
So if you lose that early, you're not playing any of your purple cards if you don't see a trading traditions.
Nobody needs entry.
Rail Ice has a story to tell you then.
I'm going to put that on a t-shirt and make you wear it to a tournament, Chase. Nobody needs entry.
Nobody needs it.
Mono pig pile. Actually, entry even mattered in that.
Yes, it did.
You needed the 4.
Yes, it did. So, would you care to rescind that statement?
Never.
Never
Next
known
list?
Sky Star Chicken?
Sure.
Alright. What do we got here?
Wait, Rayless is saying he Brianed the motivational speech. Did he play the motivational speech and then not play purple? Because Brian's not immediate.
That's what it sounds like.
Interesting. Anyway.
So here's Shadow's updated list, where he added in 2 more sticks.
which this was piloted by you, correct?
No.
No,
Oh,
this
It's
is
Shadow.
That's right, I got these out of order here, didn't I? Yeah, sticks. I like sticks.
So again, little lighter on the farming, little heavier on the friends, gives him some more options for confronting. Problem deck remains the same. Still 3 copies of Party Hard here.
Yeah.
Maybe a little much given how expensive a lot of the friends in this deck are to play.
Yeah. But he is running 3 main 6 as well. Like, he's just trying to get that combo, maximize his chances of drawing it, since he doesn't have any other card draw or any friend search.
Yep, that's true.
And one is, in this deck anyway, one without the other doesn't really do much.
No.
I mean, I guess you could throw your Big Macs at their hand or something.
Yeah, but that's getting rid of your resource.
Yeah, that's
just
not.
that just
I didn't
tastes
specify
wrong.
which Big Mac.
Now, while he doesn't have any card draw or friend search in here, what is kind of interesting and something you definitely don't see in most AJ farm / aggressive lists are 2 copies of Mimics.
Yes.
And those Mimics can actually do quite a bit of work in not only slowing down the opponent from confronting, but also preventing them from playing a lot of disruptive cards to buy you time to find your main 6 in Party Hard.
Yeah, because like one of the things that Farm hates the most is cracking the case, because it's just super pesky. And if you flip Mimics and also an Epic, then they're going to go, ugh, I might just have to hit that cracking the case or the Mimics instead, which lets you still farm and do your stuff.
Yep.
So
the more time you have to buy with either drawing into main 6 Party Hard or farming up with Stick, the better off it is for you.
Yeah.
Next list.
Next list. And
this
now
one's GPs.
this is Grandpa's, and you'll see why I get confused about this, because they both kind of look the same. You ponies,
quite
I can't tell
similar.
you any different.
They are somewhat similar. Mine is definitely much heavier on the farming side of things, and we'll talk about why that is.
Yeah.
I also go a little lighter on the main 6 Party Hard, and throw in a couple food fights and some Dream Seeds as well.
Yeah, some Dream Seas.
That Dream Seeds is in there for
hand knowledge. Yay.
Well, not only is it in there for hand knowledge, it's also in there primarily for bait and switch.
Bait and switch or cracking the case, both.
Or if you're in a situation where it matters, hey, guess what else is a card that's got at least 3 power?
Party Hard?
Main 6 and Party Hard.
I mean,
Well-
to be fair, this deck doesn't care that much about that.
Not that much, but
Party
still.
Hard might be annoying, but the main 6 is like, what are you going to take? My main 6? Okay.
Still.
Full set of chrono triggers can be nice. Even getting 1 turn off of it to take a few cards away from your opponent can be helpful, because there are a lot of events running around right now. Though generally speaking, you're just going to try to rush things out as fast as possible, and otherwise it's AJ farming.
Yeah, but there's a story behind this deck.
There is a story behind this deck. This deck was constructed and played for the first time in like 20 minutes before round 1 of the core tournament, Swiss.
Basically.
No, literally. And it is built entirely on theory. Which, again, we'll talk about here briefly once we go through the rest of the deck lists.
Next one.
Do it.
We're on to our top 4 lists.
We are into top 4, and this is Soko's Soleno combo deck.
All right, Aura. You've been
No, I
singing,
haven't.
You've been singing the praises of this
I've been
deck.
telling you that this was a thing for quite some time, and you're just like, nah.
It's an
That's-
aggro deck
Yeah.
with troublemakers.
No, it's not an aggro deck with troublemakers. It's actually a combo deck
Yeah, this deck is
With
interesting.
aggro cards?
with aggro cards. Yes.
Yeah, it's very similar to one of the decks I made in January. I didn't have the Cerberuses, and a few of the other choices are different as well. But the plan was Soleno, Nightgliders, Rarity, like just burst as many points as you can get.
So
I'm glad to see someone else do something similar completely on their own.
Sokol took the point scoring to an extreme, though. Specifically focusing on trying to be able to score points with as little interaction with his opponent in that point scoring method as possible.
Yes.
That sounds
Absolutely.
awfully lot like a combo deck, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Huh. Fancy that. Anyway, so this is actually quite nice because he's got the Tempest Shadow Troublemakers, as well as the Cerberuses and the Discord Captain Wuzzes. He can flip Seleno quite a few times, and every time he does that, 9 times. Yeah,
Oh,
so
10.
let's see here. 10 times 2 equals 20 points. Hey, he can technically win without playing a friend.
Yes.
But that only takes up 9 card slots. So while we're doing that, let's put a blue aggro deck around it and a couple of these other nice white cards.
Now, I would argue that he can actually do this more times than that, even, because he has 3 Fancy Pants to reanimate the Captain Wuzzes.
This is true.
Good point. Has to be into white, though, which is somewhat difficult.
Yes, it is. Probably the one thing I would end up changing if I were to run this is, let's get some other white in there.
You can't even... Oh, okay, it does have trading traditions. I was like, you can't even be in white unless you retired or banished the Fancy Pants.
Or played the Captain Wuzz.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, Buckball. Extra point acceleration there, too.
Yeah. He definitely had... Like, I was counting my my Tempests and my Discords, and I was at 15, and I think he's at 21. Things that secretly or literally have points on them somewhere.
Yeah. There's a bunch of fun other interactions here, which some of them I've seen, and I think it's more fun to just leave those for people to find out. Teehee.
Would be nice to see this run with the Thunderlane promo.
Yeah,
It
well,
would.
So
or the Discord.
or the
Honestly,
Discord.
I did play against this, but it was in Villain Challenge.
And you you had a bad time there, I think.
No, he had a fine time.
Chrissy eventually won.
Yeah.
We'll get to that, but it was interesting seeing it go off.
So you might have more insight on this than I do, Ara. How often does he use that heroic leap? He played it against me once.
He will abuse that for everything it's worth. It's kind of funny because you're sitting there looking at it and going, nah, he's got no tokens. I've got him on this face. Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Boo.
it's pretty funny.
Yeah, this is a nice deck.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like this, I think I would describe this deck as it doesn't care how it gets its points. It's just going to get them.
Just wants all the points.
Yeah.
Sounds accurate to me. If this thing had RTO in core, it'd probably run it.
I don't think so. Look at the problem deck, though. It's all 0s and 1s.
But more points.
But more points.
He did say he wasn't a fan of Night Glider in this list.
That's mostly, I believe, because people are like, that's a nice Night Glider.
No, I think it's actually just because he doesn't do the double face-off thing very frequently.
That and he's up against an entire meta of gigantic flips.
Yeah.
And also the things that don't do that steal the Night Glider and then cause their own face-off, and then he's sad.
Yeah, I did that to him, and then he played Heroic Leap, so I didn't win by 5, and I was sad.
Feels bad. So then you throw the Night Glider at someone else for good measure.
I mean, I still did that, yes. But no, yeah, this deck was a pleasure to see. He did not get it up and running against me, unfortunately, but he did on stream, and that's the important part.
Next list.
This is our other top 4 list.
This is our other top 4 list. This is
the updated version of
Raelis took his deck, went, made some changes, and, well, evidently it worked, because he got to top 4.
Yeah, there's a full 3 Bryans now instead of just the one he had before.
Seems good.
Which puts him at 6 resource removal instead of just 4.
Seems good.
Yeah.
Problem deck, I think, was updated slightly.
Yeah,
Yes.
the deck just in general got a pass that appears to have just made it more consistent and a little bit meaner.
It was like just a fine tune-up, basically. And it did well.
Lyra still doesn't say move.
Lyra still does not say move. Lyra is still just a 2/1/2 vanilla.
Yep.
There are 11 fails for Lyra, yes.
By which you mean
There could be one fail for Lyra, and it would be flipped every time.
That's right. I mean, you can have...
Raylize says Lyra never failed her. Never failed him.
It's because he believed in Lyra.
None of us believe in Lyra.
No. It's like having owls in your deck.
Eh.
You'll play one, you'll flip one, and what was the third one?
You're gonna fetch it with
Free Owl.
Free Owl. I don't remember the real name of that problem, but
Neither
May
do
the best
I.
bet win.
maybe that's what. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you mean Free Owl?
Yes.
But yeah, a very fun, a very fast aggro deck that is actually positioned pretty well in the current meta against farm. Just because it has a lot of ways around troublemakers and a lot of speed against troublemakers. The biggest thing that it's hurting in that particular matchup is that it does not have point acceleration.
Just Buckball season, or not season.
Championship and save
championship, yeah, and save the day.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with saving the day. Just save the day.
Yep.
Next list?
Next list.
Oh, what is this 5-color monstrosity I see in front of me?
Not enough colors.
Actually, the wrong color. The yellow should have been purple.
Think so?
Yes, 100%.
What card would it have been?
Special Beam Cannon.
Okay.
You wouldn't have run Luna's Future?
No.
The 1AT mattered too much?
The 1AT mattered a lot, yeah.
It's an aggro deck. You absolutely cannot spend 3AT to nuke a resource.
Yeah, like, I think if I had more testing, I would have swapped to that, but this is something I built the week of. I didn't expect it to do nearly as well as it did, but turns out Singing Barrel is a very good card.
Who knew?
I couldn't tell that. It's like entry into other colors is good or something.
Yeah.
So a few interesting choices here for sure. Things you don't see in typical Skystar aggro lists. Sonata Dusk is there not only as protection, but also as fuel for Sorin, which can be quite nice.
Fuel for Sorin, fuel for Bodyguard.
Fuel for Party Hard.
Party Hard or Belly Flop, yeah.
She's
Yeah,
tacos.
She is also very, very interesting because she has this nice little combo with Bodyguard that some people just don't expect, which is that you can retire her at home for no benefit other than to make some unicorns and get some free AT. And they're like, wait, what?
Yep, sure works that way. A couple of torch songs to help you find either your Singing Barrels or your Rarity Soprano, which is like an absolute mandatory must-have early.
To the point where I believe you went white in Trading Traditions?
You go white almost every time. There are not that many blue cards. I mean, granted, there are not that many white cards either, but...
The white cards are more important.
The white cards are more important. The reason this deck actually has blue at all, originally anyway, was because I'm like, well, I'll splash for Night Glider because there's no white aggro point acceleration right now. Which then led me to add Sorin, and then I went, wait, Sorin plus Bodyguard is really good.
And then you added a jerk face just for posterity, I assume?
For combo.
She is there actually because Party Hard is typically 6 AT minimum.
And if you can't get the 6 AT, you can't fire the combo?
Exactly. She also with the number of retire outlets in this deck, she doesn't hurt this deck too much. Because if you need that AT, you just retire her to Sorin, and then suddenly it's fine.
Yeah, you actually have 9 retire outlets in this deck.
Right. No,
I'm sorry,
12.
not 9, 11.
Yeah, 11, right.
Yep.
That's
So
a few too many.
it goes fast.
Yeah, it goes fast, and it, like, without moving much. Like, you move Sorins, sometimes you move a 3-power, but other than that, you just play from hand and retire stuff to make free unicorns.
How important is keeping your hand full in this list?
Moderately.
That's fair.
I found that my hand was typically relatively full anyway, because Singing Barrels return us Sopranos to hand, PFFs and Torch Songs find friends as well, and then Party Hard, of course, does silly things.
Yep, that's fair.
Cadence also would have done silly things had I ever played her in a single game.
Did you
Remember
ever
there
have
was
the
a deck-
opportunity to play her?
Once or twice, but it was just not the right call. Honestly, what I think I would do is, remember when I was talking about purple? I think I want to replace those 2 cadences with Spike.
As
The movement
another
spike?
measure against AJ?
Yes.
The movement
Yep.
spike? Oh, that just sounds awful.
It's probably correct.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm saying it just sounds awful. Because I don't want to play against it.
All right, next deck. Hey, look, it's Burb. Is anyone still there?
No, because
No, we all left. We'll be right back.
yeah.
It's fine.
Dang it.
Ara was running this and managed to take first with it. Congratulations, Ara.
Even though one of the card choices is wrong.
Yes, even though one of the card choices is wrong.
I forgot what it is. Oh yeah, it's one of the Tempest Shadows and Grubbers should be a Selena. Yeah, well, yes.
No, a
not
Sky
Selena,
Star.
sorry. A Sky, the dismissal one.
Yes.
Whose
But it's-
flavor text something like "We'll always be friends" or something.
We'll always be friends. Now to death with you.
Yeah, I'm sitting here going, nah. I like my Tempest and Skystar, or Grubbers.
We've highlighted this deck before. This deck has done well in Coco in both the Skystar variant and the Tempest variant. Pink, purple have a ton of things with very valuable when this card enters play abilities. And it turns out that being able to use those over and over and over again allows you to do some really good things, both against aggro and against farming. Specifically with moving Zakora at immediate speed, or moving your opponent's main home at immediate speed. Or
Replacing a problem at immediate speed.
replacing a problem at immediate speed. Or anything else you can do to
Or-
irritate farming.
Dropping Eccentric in at immediate speed. There's all kinds of dumb fun things that I did with this. Some of the things I didn't even realize I could do with.
Luna's
Yeah.
featuring their first troublemaker so that they can't beat it.
Oh yes, that's always fun. Yeah, there's a lot that is capable of being done in this deck. The one thing this deck really does not like is big old board wipes.
No.
Specifically, main 6 party hard.
It does not like that. It does not like Cornered. It does not like
Catajack.
Catajack. If
Good old party of one.
was still a thing, it wouldn't like that either. Sorry, Bugle, it's not that much of a thing anymore.
Well, no, because you're in pink. And if you're in pink, you should be. I say this with stark evidence in front of me proving me wrong. But if you're in pink, you should be playing the party hard combo.
I don't
Well,
know.
you should be playing party hard combo in an aggro meta. If you're in a farming meta,
I don't know. I had something else, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm sick of that stupid meta. I'm just going to play this.
Yeah, and it worked.
I got pretty lucky in a couple of those matches, but it did in fact work.
Well, card games are partly luck-based games.
And partly
But, I
based on,
What?
how much...
You don't order your deck?
Wait, are you not supposed to do that?
Yeah.
Only in Modnac.
Okay. That was the best part of that combo.
That was pretty amusing, yes.
All right.
Last but not least, I think we have one other thing to talk about with respect to Babs.
Our queen.
Our queen, who is best queen.
She's at least best villain in terms of her track record so far.
She's best queen and best villain. She's my queen.
Queen Nova?
No, she's not a queen. I do not recognize her regency.
Queen Chrysalis Villain Challenge debuted at BABSCon, and we had a number of players who competed against her. I think her overall win record was 2 wins, and 1 loss, and 1 draw. Is that correct?
Well, I don't know what the actual result of that one was, but it did go to time. So the Changeling War continued on, I guess.
The war raged for all eternity.
Yes.
We went to time and there was no clear winner.
Yep.
It was a war of attrition.
It was a lot of fun, though. Some people were able to successfully determine which of their friends had turned against them and were changeling spies.
That was the best part.
Lowrider, it was a deck list issue.
What happens is if you turn a deck list in that has, 32 cards on it?
Yeah.
That's, no bueno.
Yeah, when you're running events at tier 2 or above, in terms of the rule set, there are specific guidelines that have to be followed. It had nothing to do with player conduct or anything like that. It was just one of those things where we could not verify the deck's integrity between day 1 and day 2.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
make sure your deck lists are fully filled out. If at all possible, don't take the deck apart between the Swiss rounds and the elimination rounds, because both of those things can lead to sadness. Also, don't put, 4 cards on the side and don't pick them back up.
Yeah.
I thought the pile was bigger than that.
I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I just about did that. But
I mean, it's easy to do in Villain Challenge when Queen Chrysalis is stealing all copies of your friends.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, too. I was trying to steal people's friends. I remembered and gave them back, though.
Stealing friends was fun. Also, I've got to remember to steal Breakdown in the future. That's just stupid.
Yeah, it is. There's a ton of good friends that you can steal, like ones that players wouldn't necessarily expect either.
Stealing Shoeshine was fun.
Yeah, stealing Shoeshine.
I think the probably the best part of this, at least for the players, was the fact that if they beat Chrysalis, she had to work for them for a little bit. And so they got a shiny Xerox promo.
The same kind of shiny Xerox promo that had been given out at Continental Championships North America last year.
Mm-hmm. And even if they lost to Chrysalis, they were made honorary changelings.
And they got Queen Chrysalis promos.
Got a Queen Chrysalis promo. Because our queen rewards hard workers.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun seeing people get excited about receiving an appropriate promo card for that format.
It was pretty good.
We never had a Sombra promo, though.
We never had a Sombra card.
Worthy of having a promo.
I mean, basically, sorry, Feathers. I know he's best husbando, but I'm sorry. It's the villain or nothing.
Oh. Yeah. I mean, he was kind of a one and done villain.
All right. So now having discussed all the formats, let's just very briefly talk about what this means for the core meta and our general theory behind that here. I mean, very briefly, 5 minutes.
Starting the timer. Go.
All right. So I think we're all pretty much in agreement that right now, tier 1 decks at core, i.e. those that are going to have a significantly higher win rate against any non-tier 1 deck and perform decently against some number of tier 1 options, are basically broken down into 3 categories. Do we agree?
Sure.
Kind of. I mean, the Rayless's deck does kind of throw a wrench in this, but okay.
Those 3 types of decks are farming, which we know is very good right now. Burb style control, so things entering play and moving characters and otherwise causing a lot of problems at immediate speed. And aggressive decks that are usually running main 6 and party hard. And the reason for these 3 is they actually serve as counters or foils to each other. AJ farming is very, very good at dealing with decks that run main 6 party hard because AJ normally doesn't run a lot of friends. And so they really don't care. And by the time your opponent can find main 6 party hard and also get enough tokens on board to make party hard debilitating, you've gotten a lot of points with AJ.
Yeah. And at that point, you can't face off with her involved because you'll just lose.
Right. To counter this, Burb style decks have a ton of immediate answers against AJ. Like we mentioned earlier, being able to flicker Zakora so AJ can't contribute her problem, or be able to flicker a Twilight magical pony that can move AJ at immediate speed, or
play a Frozen Magicite, or Spike, or
Bait and
Bait and Switch, or look at all these things that mess up troublemakers. Or actually, you know what? Here's the best one. Just DFO out from under them.
Sure, because you are absolutely capable of doing that.
Yeah, assuming she's not so large that you're just giving her free points, but yes.
Yeah. So those decks do quite well in the farming meta because there aren't a lot of answers to AJ right now. In fact, basically the only single card that is a universal answer to AJ is Spike, Traveler Spike. And there's a very limited subset of decks that are actually running that, and Burb isn't even necessarily one of them. You could probably splash for it if you wanted to, but Burb has enough answers that you probably don't need to. What those decks do not like playing against is main 6 party hard, because they require a large board state to be set up. They require
both cards in their hand and in play. And when they lose both of those, that hurts.
Yeah, Burb hates that.
So each of these decks has a deck that it counters and a deck that it is countered by in our theoretical tier 1 right now in core. So, also in theory, a deck that could still counter its foil, or a deck that can learn to counter its foil and can continue to perform well against the deck it already crushes, could rise to be the best deck in the meta right now. So if Burb had answers against main 6 party hard, or a better matchup, or if main 6 party hard had better answers against AJ, or if AJ had better answers against Burb, then it can end up working well. The problem is core is still relatively small as a format. We don't have access to the broad number of answers that exist in Harmony. So it's very difficult for Burb to sit there and recover from main 6 party hard and still be as efficient as it is against some of the other decks. And likewise, it's very difficult for decks running main 6 party hard to run impactful answers to AJ, because that usually involves splashing into another color or running a card like Cardboard Box that at some points in the game just isn't going to do anything. It is much easier for AJ, however, to splash a couple cards and run main 6 party hard. One of the things that's most difficult about splashing into main 6 for pink is the fact that it has 4 color requirement, but AJ is commonly over 4 power. So if you can get her into pink, you've probably got the rec for it.
Hey, you've won at least one face-off, right? Right? Okay, good.
Hey, you've got a sticking play, right?
Hey,
Whatever it
look,
ha-
your counters can never leave, except for this one weird way that no one cares about.
Additionally,
This
both
one-
main 6 and Party Hard are at very high flips relative to other disruptive cards. Party Hard is a 4, main 6 is a 5, so you're not hurting your flip average any. And that is the primary reason for running AJ Pink, is it splashes enough cards to be able to counter its counter while continuing to do well against the deck that it already does well against.
And surprisingly enough, that was 5 minutes to within a few seconds. You get a cookie.
Yay!
And yeah, what it boils down to is until someone comes up with this one weird trick, farmers hate it. AJ's gonna be kind of mean. Oh, come on. Don't scowl at that.
I'm laughing at that.
Well, if we're willing to go over our 5 minutes a moment, I do have
You got
one
some
thing
thoughts?
yeah.
Let's hear some thoughts.
The interesting thing is about Farm's rise in the meta is we originally thought Farm was not going to work at all. We just looked at the epics and went, eh, and the ways to flip AJ and went, eh. And when our core meta started, there was a lot of control going around. So just Farm was not looking very good. Then main 6 Party Hard made all of the control decks go, wow, this is awful. Why am I playing control? And then I think Farm got popular because of main 6 Party Hard. So it's nice to see that this meta has been changing. Perceptions of it have been different throughout, well, since core was announced. We've had different meta states, and I like that a lot. And I don't think we're at the final spot for it either.
No, I don't think we are, but I think it could definitely stand with a few adjustments, and by adjustments I mean new cards being added to the format.
Sure.
And that's the great thing about having a rotating format like this, is it's not really going to go stale. As long as new cards continue to be produced, you'll end up with a meta that will always have new tools, and eventually some of the older staples will rotate out and cause a massive meta shift when that happens.
F-stop.
F-stop.
Yes, this isn't even Core's final form, wannabe Alicorn.
Oh dear.
Speaking of Core and Meta's final form, you know what a great way to track the progress of Core's meta over time is?
With a lot of statistics.
Playing
With-
tournaments.
Shameless plugging.
Both very good answers, also Bugle very good answers.
Shameless plug.
Ara, shameless plug.
Shameless plug? Okay, initiating shameless plug. Shameless plug. Done. I did the shameless plug. So
Yes, you did.
go play in Coco. We announced round 4 last week. We delayed the whole thing on account of Babs, because let's face it, we were all pretty tired at that point. And it's kind of hard to deal with both Coco ending and Babs ending at the same time. So with about a week left before we start Coco number 4, there's the sign-up link. You should go sign up.
Yeah. Well, also this way people have time to process the Babs results and change their decks based off of that, should they choose to.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, there's a lot to learn from Babs and from previous Cocos. Shout out to Cursed Chords again for making a very pretty aggregate statistics chart.
Where was this posted?
As a comment on that Reddit post. Not the same Reddit post on the Coco 3 results.
Yes.
For those of you who have not played before, Coco is our core constructed online tournament. It is a tournament series that is completely free, open to anyone, runs for 3 weeks, and then takes a week off for people to adjust their decks, and allows proxies. So if you are playing in an area that does not have access to a lot of the newer cards, or you simply don't have a collection that's that large, you can absolutely play in Coco and still test out decks that you would like to play even when you get those cards.
Mm-hmm.
We also have another fun event coming up here very soon, I believe. Is that in next week or 2 weeks?
I believe you're talking about the one next week.
I believe I am talking about the one next week.
Really? Do go on.
Well, from what I understand, we have these awesome people called patrons,
Yes.
and these awesome people called patrons managed to help us meet our first goal on Patreon, where we get to give an Ask Us Almost Anything stream and answer questions from the community that are submitted in advance, and answer questions from our chat live, and give out a bunch of awesome prizes.
Prizes, you say?
I do say prizes.
We showcased one of those at Babs. The seashell token.
The seashells.
Yes, the custom seashell tokens.
So in
Yes.
case you enjoy running Skystar, but you don't have any seashell tokens, we might have something to fix that.
Or if you would like to run both Shelly and Sheldon at the same time instead of just one.
As you should.
As you should. We've got something to fix that.
So there is a link on Reddit right now, which I'm sure we can try to find here in just a moment, that has a form where you can submit your questions to us. Yes, there it is. And we've already had some great ones. Sim has been around for quite some time now, and we'll talk a little bit about that on the stream, but feel free to direct the questions either at the group or at the group's individuals. Any of us will be happy to answer, like we said, just about anything that's going to be family appropriate.
And the sooner you submit a question, the more time we have to think about it. If you ask us, what's the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow on stream, I'm probably just going to give you a canned answer.
I'm going to ask African or European.
Yeah, I was going to say there is an actually appropriate answer to that.
There is an appropriate answer to that, but if you ask during the forum, I will go dig up the research that someone did and give you an answer in meters per second, and then you will be like, oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And do keep in mind, while you can ask us stuff like, what are you going to run at Gen Con so I can beat it? Like,
we don't know.
Probably
we seriously don't know.
Yeah.
How long before last Gen Con did it? You were like the day before or something, wasn't it?
The day before. Like the night of, basically.
Yep. The night before.
It may have been past
that
12
might have
when
been
that decision was made.
past.
But...
Was that during combo o'clock? I don't think that was during combo o'clock.
It was pretty close to it.
But it
We were
wasn't a
testing
combo
that,
deck,
like.
so...
But
No.
yeah, but like, do feel free to ask us questions like that. Just keep in mind, we might honestly not have an answer. But we might have an answer, and we will answer to the best of our knowledge.
Yep. We'll also be using a random selection tool, which we will be streaming live, so you can see that the prize giveaways are, in fact, completely fair and random.
But you should
Grandpa's wins again. Who would have guessed?
Yeah.
Right, throw me under the bus.
I mean, yes.
I mean, sure.
I mean, Cheese and Ara are smart enough not to rig it in their favor.
Sure, they rig it in my favor.
Yes.
No,
It's
clearly,
less suspicious for them.
Clearly,
it's
we
just
just
prize
have-
laundering.
an anonymous donor that no one knows, and they happen to win everything.
Oh my god.
What's your address? Wait, isn't that like your address? No.
No,
I don't
it's
know this person.
totally not the apartment next door.
C1MC66 just wins everything.
Anyway,
And now we will be live streaming that whole thing,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you can watch it as stuff is given out, and then it's gonna be good.
it's going to be good times. That will about wrap up our discussion on the Babs recap for today, though. We would like to give another big shout out to all of our patrons on Patreon. Thank you so much for your regular support. If you aren't currently a patron, but you enjoy what we do, please consider donating, because doing so will give you awesome rewards like the ability to vote on polls to determine what future videos we produce, a chance to share your own deck creations to be reviewed live, and even the ability to challenge members of Sim or other patrons to feature duels using some wacky rules and formats. If you have questions or comments you'd like to send our way, or if you're just interested in hearing about what we're working on for the future, there are many ways you can stay in contact. We have our Patreon, as mentioned previously, but we also have a Facebook page, facebook.com/commentaryismagic. We're on Twitter at CIM_CCG. You can email us at commentaryismagicteam@gmail.com. And patrons at or above the $5 per month level get access to our Slack channel, where you can chat with us live any day, anytime. You'll find someone on there. Guaranteed. If you're looking to watch any of our previous videos, including tournament recordings, you can find them on our YouTube channel, linked in the sidebar. And if you would please subscribe while you're over there, we can get a channel URL that's a little easier to remember. With all that said, thank you to each and every one of our viewers, both here now and watching this recording later. We are Commentary is Magic, and I am, as always, Grandpaws.
I'm Emperor Bugle.
Big cheese.
And Arcat.
We'll see you next week for our Ask Us Almost Anything stream.
You should really show up to this one, because
And the answer is 5.
the answer is 5.
Yes. Someone
Yeah.
asked what 2 plus 3 is.
Yeah. But no, you should seriously show up to the next one, because
Yeah.
some of the
It's
people in
tough.
chat, the people in chat.
We'll see you next week, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.